Okay, so what's up next? Well, let's combine what we've done so far, where the interest rate changes, and we're gonna put in stuff off and take out along the way, and really mix it up. So this looks like the type of problem that needs a timeline, right? And there's our timeline so far. Right? There's our time. Okay. So in our timeline, we're always starting at T naught, and then now there's going to be a lot of stuff happening. So let's really keep our wits about us. Maybe read through it once, and then in the second read, let's put it in and highlight the bits that are important. 5,700 Rand is deposited into a savings account. Okay, this bit I reckon we can safely put in the timeline and go, that bit there we've kind of ticked. 2 years later, further 1,900 Rand is deposited. Now, the only reason I don't want to put T2 is I don't go, okay, let's go there, T2, and then suddenly 17 years later, and my timeline's way out of scale. Doesn't have to be perfectly to scale, but let's just see what's going on. So, next up, we've got 2 years later, some more money is deposited. Final deposit of 4,100 Rand is made 5 years after the initial deposit. Okay, so there's going to be more happening here 5 years after the initial deposit. So T5. Interest rate for the 3 years is 13% per annum compounded quarterly, then decreased. Okay, calculate how much has accumulated at the end of 8 years. Okay, that's the bit I'm waiting for, so I can go T8 and let's fill in the other bits. 2 years. 2 years, that's 4. This looks like 2 over here. 1,900 is put in, and a final deposit 5 years after the initial. So 5 is about here, and we put in 4,100. No withdrawals. Okay, there's all that side of the things. Now let's work with our interest rates. First, interest rate for the 3 years is 13%. I assume this should say first 3 years. That would be a bit better. So up to T3. So let's mark T3. That seems significant. Our interest rate is 13% per annum compounded quarterly. That's this part here. Okay, so 13% per annum. And what's going to be crucial is quarterly, just because we're going to have to account for that, right? And I don't know. Okay, so what else do we have? We're slowly but surely going to run out of colors if everything gets its own color. Next up, 11.2% per annum compounded monthly. Okay, that must be for the rest of the period. I equals 11.2% per annum compounded monthly. Determine, and that goes all the way up to the end, determine the total amount. Okay, so part of this is going to be the same as the example we've just done. And then part of it's going to be like the examples we did before that with the multiple investments. So let's put it all in. We've got how much money do we have at the end? So this 5,700 Rand. We're taking this 5,700. Okay, so I'm going to scroll up because we don't need any of the text. We've got everything in our timeline. 5,700. We're investing for 8 years, but the interest rate changes. So we're going to focus for the first 3 years because that's when the interest rate changes. So we've got that. It's at 1 plus quarterly. 3 years, so 12 at 0.13%. Then, so we're just looking at this 5,700 Rand to start with. And so that's the first bit. We've got as far as T3. Now we need to get it to the end of T8. So for the next 5 years, that same amount is going to go in, and we're going to go 1 plus, and that's going to be monthly, and it's 11.2. 11, 0.112, and that's now 12 times 560. So this is just the 5,700. similar to how we did the previous example. It goes along at 13%, then it goes along at 11.2. Cool. Then we're going to take our 1,900 and we're going to do something similar. Let's see what happens with that. So to start with, it's going to go along at 1 plus 0,13 over 4, just for 1 year, so 4 quarters. And then that amount is going to be reinvested. And let me change that. That's 0, comma, look like a 2. And that's going to be invested for 5 years. 1 plus 0,112 over 12 for 5 years. I can see it maybe being useful to use our calculator for some of these storing as variables. And then our last bit is this 4,100. So plus 4,100. We're investing that. Well, this part's easy because that's just invested for 3 years at 1 interest rate. So 4,100 at 1 plus 0,112 over 12 for 3 years. So for 36 months. And that's it. And we punch all of that into our calculator. All of the stuff from that side all the way along to that side. And we get, I think I got 24,108,19. So it's quite a bit. It's just combining this idea of investing, reinvesting at different interest rates, and then doing it with every single deposit. Okay, let's do another one, and I think for the next one we're going to take some money out. New video, I reckon.